What's good everyone, it's Zigzag here, welcome back to another Geoguessr video. If you don't know me very well, I've been playing Geoguessr for 3 years now, and obviously have a serious passion for the game. So in today's video, I want to bring you guys a whole bunch of ideas I have to improve the Geoguessr experience and make it an all-round better package. I got like 30 suggestions that I wrote while I was on the plane back from Japan. Hit this Japanese highway shield sticker that I was given by Daigo, by the way, the Japanese YouTuber. But anyway, I think some of these suggestions are really good, mostly off the top of the dome, a bunch as well from other people. And yeah, last time I made a video like this, the devs kind of did implement some of the changes, so hopefully my voice can make a difference. As I said guys, I was just in Japan. If you want to check out some of my travel stuff, then the Instagram is linked in the description. There's more posts coming very soon. And then also I'll be having a vlog coming up real soon as well. Okay, so I roughly split this into 4 sections. Not everything's going to perfectly fit into each section, but I'm going to start off with kind of quality of life changes or changes to the site itself. So my first suggestion, and I've actually made 3 videos of this kind and I've suggested it in every single video, is that we'd have some kind of detailed statistics about one's worst and best countries. I just really think that Geoguessr players are stats nerds and would love to know where they're struggling, where they're doing well, specific numbers about countries they excel in, even subdivisions within countries that they excel in. I think all of these things would be fantastic to know, and I just get the feeling it wouldn't be too hard and it would just be such a sick feature. Next one here is something that many people have suggested before, but it is some detailed leaderboards for maps. Basically, this would just mean you can see people's best scores on street, on no moving, panning or zooming, on no moving, and you can have like a top 50 leaderboard on different maps or something like that. I'm really open to having this go any way it may. I would just like to see some more detailed leaderboards on maps. Okay, next one here is a very simple problem, but one that really should have been fixed a long time ago. So basically the liked maps tab doesn't work at all. As soon as you like a certain number of maps, it just stops working and stops adding them at all. And so as you can see right here, I actually have my own liked maps tab that actually gets me to the maps I want to play quickly. This is completely unnecessary and in my opinion just needs to be fixed. This one also might be something I've mentioned in every single one of the 3 videos, but having a no car or no compass script could be a really fun addition to Geoguessr, just so everyone's on a level playing field and doesn't have to get a script. Now, from what I understand, that could be like a TOS violation for Google Street View, so may not be possible, but if it is, I think it's a really good idea. My next suggestion is to do with the Friends tab. Now, as it stands, it's pretty clunky. The messages don't really send through properly, and it's kind of arbitrary who it shows at the top of your friends list and all this kind of thing. I think it'd be really cool to just have an overhaul where you could like put your close friends at the top. You could easily challenge them to different things and it would just be much more of a seamless experience. Also, maybe while you're in game and they challenged you, it would actually like bring up a little pop-up notification or something like that. But again, this would be good for like a close friends only tab so that you're not getting randoms, especially if you're kind of a more prominent community member or something like that, you might get spammed. My next suggestion is that inside the official streak mode, you could region guess. So let me show you how it works at the moment. We go country streaks here, we head into a game, and I recognize that this is New Zealand. It's probably going to be somewhere near Queenstown, I imagine. So I go down here and I click the country and it just doesn't let me put a pin down. So as much as it is about getting the right country in country streak mode, people still like to make region guesses, especially when they get better. And this is what prevents pros from using this mode, because essentially we want to be able to region guess and we can't. And let's see if we were right. It was indeed Queenstown, and we couldn't even get like a sick guess like that. Like I immediately recognized it, but unfortunately, unless I have video evidence like this, I can't be rewarded by making a nice guess, which just kind of takes away one of the fundamental joys of Geoguessr, really. My next suggestion would be that you could sort challenges by rounds. So at this stage, when you click on someone inside a challenge at the end, it just shows all 5 of their rounds. What I would love is if you could select individual rounds. So I could click round 1 and then it would just show me where people went on round 1, because at the moment you can see the lines kind of intersect, and as soon as you get a bunch of like lower guesses here, the lines are intersecting at all different angles and it makes it really hard to see what actually happened. Now, if you could just select one round, it would be so much clearer and you could make points much better when you're explaining things on the results page. Also, the friends tab here does not work. Multiple of my friends play this challenge and only Phineas appears, and the option to filter by verified users would also be clutch when you're playing challenges with tons of people. My next suggestion is that the distance battle just be reworked. At the moment, it's kind of clunky. I'm not really sure how to fix it, but as it stands, it's not a particularly competitive format, just because it's so often that the worst player beats the better player. And my final suggestion just for the site itself would be to have clan tags. This is completely unnecessary, but just something that would be cool to have. And I think it would be cool to encourage team play like that. Okay, let's move on to a few kind of bigger changes here. This was a suggestion suggestion I saw on Reddit, which I really liked. So the concept was a 25,000 health survival mode, basically where you play rounds until you run out of your 25k health. Admittedly, Map Runner does work similarly, but this would be more of a competitive format where you try and streak together as many rounds as you can. So for example, if I guessed Ghana and it was the wrong end and I lose 1,500 points, I'd move from 25,000 health down to 23,500. And my objective would be to last as many rounds in a row as I could, and this could be particularly good to play with other players as well. By the same token, I think a country streak speed run could be a really good option, especially just to have a built-in timer for speed running in general would be great. And yeah, I think speed running just makes games kind of more exciting in general. So I just think it would be a really good thing to include. Okay, now I'm going to move on to some changes I would like to see with Jules. Obviously, we just had a great update where a community world was added, and now we are facing people who are our own rating. But there are still a bunch of things I would love to see, namely, number one, that we have some no moving in Jules. This would just be the greatest change. Most people at the top of the ladders want to play that, so we really should have it in the game. Also, for a more casual or play with friends mode, I think a Jules game where you can make multiple guesses could be really fun. I did a video like this with Rainbow where we got 3 guesses each, and it just ended up being an absolute blast. And also, you kind of get to simulate what it's like to be in a tournament, which is also just a really fun experience. My next suggestion would be that we kind of have some kind of spectator mode inside Jules so that it's easy to run tournaments, so that you can have a bunch of spectators instead of having like people on the teams so that they can guess accidentally. Guys, the current system is absolutely doggy doo-doo. Sorry, GeoDevs, you do a good job at a lot of things, but this really has to be the backbone of the pro scene. These tournaments are really important, and making them a seamless experience, in my opinion, is a super important deal. Okay, here's another suggestion which I kind of saw other people talking about, which I really like. So many of you are probably familiar with Trackmania, the racing game. I think there's a high overlap between Geoguessr players and Trackmania players. Essentially, Trackmania has this daily challenge where everyone goes against each other in a massive battle, and people slowly get whittled away until it ends up with one winner. And I feel like this could be a really sick concept for Geoguessr. So it could be as simple as having like a 50 player or 100 player battle royale, where the early rounds kind of eliminate 10 people at a time and you end up with a small number of people. But ultimately, there's a bunch of ways this could work nicely. I think even if it doesn't become like a mainstream mode, because maybe it would cost too much to run or something like that, I think it could still be a really cool thing for streamers to have access to, like set up a 100-person or a 50-person battle royale. But yeah, I think this one would be good for discussion. There's plenty of ways you could take it. I just think some kind of a massive mode could really be great for the Geoguessr streaming sphere. My next suggestion is simply that they add people's country flags next to their names, like we have in this script I have installed. Would be pretty cool. It'd also be nice if people can opt out of that if they so wish. My second last suggestion for Jules is that verified players should be able to challenge each other for actual rating. Now, obviously this becomes a problem with win trading, so you have to make sure that people who are actually challenging each other are both verified, but I feel like this could be a really sick feature and would make for really good content. My final idea is that the Geoguessr devs could somehow team up with the Harvard team who made the world's best Geoguessr AI, and having that as just an option to play against or make content against in the game would be so cool. Now, I'm not a technically minded person, so I don't really know how difficult this would be to implement, but honestly, it's something I would love to see, and again, I do think it's something that could really push Geoguessr forward in the public sphere. One final suggestion I had for Jules is Team Jules with 3 or 4 teams. This would be super easy to code because basically everyone just loses health in relation to the team that got the closest, so I really don't see it being that difficult to make, and yet it would be so fun. Okay, moving on to some single player things now. I think it would be really cool to have an option to have more or less than 5 rounds per game. I feel like there's a lot of potential there that we just don't really think about because we're so used to 5 rounds, but particularly for custom maps and stuff like that, I can really see a lower or a higher number being beneficial. In relation to that, for smaller custom maps, I would love to see there be like a custom round order option where you can order the rounds so that you can kind of tell a story or make a point in some way. It could be really good for learning Geoguessr. It could also really be good for like clues maps or something like that. And also, you should be able to add captions to rounds. So for example, if I was explaining a certain round, I want to say this bollard is found here. This is what makes the bollard unique. Just a little text caption for teaching people could be fantastic. Also for just making trivia maps, this would just make the game so much more educational because you could tell like historical stories or something like that. I just feel like extra information like that could add a lot to the game. And then related to that suggestion, I think a really cool mode could be a training mode where it's a whole bunch of hand-picked rounds with captions and advice after the round where it will point out all the ways you went wrong and all the ways you could have identified the country. I feel like this would just absolutely elevate the level of skill in the Geoguessr community, and it would be so easy for them to implement. Basically, they could just get the pros to do it and everyone would be happy to. Similarly, on the learning topic, I think it would be really cool if there was just a button to save hard rounds. So whenever you like make a really bad mistake and you want to go back and review that later on, you should just have like a button there where you can press it and it will save it to a folder or save it to a map, and you can just go and check it out. Now there are scripts that do that right now, but to have it integrated and to have it really nice and simple would be a really great feature, and I think people would love it. Okay, my second last suggestion is kind of complicated, so bear with me here. Basically, for a lot of modes in GeoGuessrs, getting a super high score kind of relies on getting a bunch of small countries in a row, because it doesn't really matter how good at the US or Australia you are, most rounds on those bigger countries you will be further away. Likewise, even if you kind of suck at guessing Monaco or San Marino or these microstates, you're definitely going to be close if you get the right country. So ultimately getting these really high score attempts is quite a luck thing. What I would like to see would be if there was some kind of pro scoring model, which instead of allocating points based on pure kilometers away, also took into account whether you got the right country, whether you got the right state, how big the country you were guessing in was, and these kind of factors would all be taken into account to have some kind of a different system in which your score is more so determined on your region guessing ability in all countries of the world, not just those small ones. I actually did work with someone to make a mod of a prototype of this, which I'll link a video to and you can download in the description of that video. That's a proof of concept, but it is very basics, so you can go and give it a play and see if you like it. My final suggestion for this video is that GeoGuessr would kind of pull together the hardest rounds, especially maybe by verified players, the ones that they fail, and then create just like an AI generated hardest rounds map that just combines rounds that everyone failed. It would be a great way to learn, especially just by playing hard rounds, and I don't know, I feel like something like that could be fun. Well guys, there you go, we covered a whole bunch of ground in this video. I really hope the GeoGuessr devs are watching all the way at the end of this video, and that you guys may have agreed with some of the changes I want made. Also probably link a few documents in which a bunch of other suggestions were made. Obviously my suggestions generally related to no moving games, whereas a lot of people prefer to play moving, in which there's a lot of improvements to be made as well. But yeah guys, that's about it for the video. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Do leave your own suggestions in the comments, of course, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.